6 o'clock p.m. with all council members present. Oh, we are missing Tom Heslop. Yep, sorry about that. Angie.
I think he's there.
Tom is MIA. First item on the agenda is the discussion of appointing a mayor pro tem and a deputy mayor pro tem. So, Angie, Tom had called me with some thoughts that he had. Is that something I should mention as like a what's the word when you're not here? A proxy nomination? Right. He had Tom had indicated that he would be 100% in favor of Mike, you staying on as mayor pro tem, and then John, you being nominated for deputy mayor pro tem. So, but I'll open the floor up to any other comments or suggestions from anybody else.
I'm okay.
Y'all agree with that?
If they'll have us.
I agree.
All right. So,
It was quick.
and then when we get into regular session,
There's an item of action to take
Okay.
action at 7 o'clock.
okay. All right. So then item number 2, clarification of consent or action items listed at today's city council meeting. Does anybody have any questions or need any clarification on anything?
No.
Well, I guess I have a question. So Phil, on the Parks grant, what are we asking them for? Just whatever they give us, or the maximum, or what are we doing?
The maximum, it's a 50/50.
Okay.
The maximum amount is $1.5 million.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Mr. Kicksmiller?
I've got a question on the animal shelter. Is Point Compass Limited, is that the new owners of Animal Medical Center? Are they one and the same?
It's the same owner. This is the owner of the building. They don't own the vet clinic, if that's what you're asking.
I mean, I know that the original owners sold the practice.
Right.
So they also sold the building?
No, it's the same. This is the same owner of the
Okay,
building.
so Stroh
Same
and
landlord.
And
Right.
McCullough owned the building?
Yes.
Okay, so that's their limited liability that we're leasing with?
Yeah, they're LLC, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to see, because it was a new name, and I didn't know whether it was
Yeah.
new vets or the
Same,
people.
no, same principles
Okay.
that we're dealing with. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Fiorenza?
Yes. First of all, where's the button? Okay. I'm lost now. Is it under here now? There it is. I found it.
It's a good thing you and Tom are sitting together. You can find your buttons
Is that
together.
it? Did that work?
That works,
All
yeah.
right, all right. If you don't mind, I would
Jaworski.
like to ask a question about the park grant program, if you don't mind, please, sir. When I was looking through it, it's a 50 basis on a what are the terms of the reimbursement, and what are the budget impacts, and has that been considered yet?
Yes, there was a resolution and budget that was adopted, and Ken can probably speak to that a little bit better than me, but the total project for the cabins is over $2 million, and that includes additional utilities, sewer line upgrades, and things of that nature.
Right, and if the grant's approved, that'll leave us with about 800 that we have to cover
It leaves us the balance.
of the 2 point.
Yeah, you subtract $750,000 from the
Right.
budgeted amount.
Right.
And the maximum that we can get is $750,000.
Okay, so we're
from
essentially
Texas Parks and
looking
Wildlife.
at 1.6, roughly,
Roughly,
that we're
yes.
going to have to cover. And that was it in the budget for the 21-22 term or 22-23?
It was in.
While you're coming up, the follow-up was the numbers we had been talking about previously. Does that match up to those numbers?
Sure does. We didn't budget specifically for that. Well, we have the proceeds there, and we show that budget just so we could accommodate the grant.
Yeah.
But we know it's probably likely a couple years out before you'll actually spend the money.
Right, but that was in the bond program.
But in the bond program and the documentation and justification for what we suggested we borrow, the $750,000 grant was included with that, and we reduced the amount that we borrowed anticipating that.
Okay, and this will cover 16 cabins. Is this $2.3 million cost, is it still appropriate in today's dollars? I mean, I know construction costs have skyrocketed over the last 12.
Right. So the answer to that is no, but we have contingency built into the project.
Okay. Okay.
And we would adjust based off of the, and correct me if I'm wrong, the availability of funds at the time to build.
Once the grant's issued. Okay.
Yeah.
When you
Thank
say
you.
adjust, you mean numbers of cabins? Okay.
Yes.
But we're going to cover all this in the upcoming budget?
Yes, again, it won't be likely to consummate in this budget year, but we will look at capital project as a whole and then allocate the part of that amount over this next fiscal year that we expect to spend. So yes, to your question.
Yeah, I just want to make certain, along that line
Yeah.
that we do.
All the way through.
Look at the various phases of, the gate, the update of the pads, the pouring, the plumbing, and then the cabins, just so that we know what are we looking at.
Right. This project hinges on the extension of the water lines
Yeah.
down 2499.
Yeah.
So, that has to happen first.
Yeah, and there's things that we're going to do no matter what. So it's just a matter, we could do A, B, and C and push D out.
Right.
Okay. Great, okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Feaster?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify what Mr. Lozano had said. So the 1.5 million is the minimum that we would have to spend to be eligible for the $750,000 reimbursement.
It's a total of $1.5 million with a 50-50 match, which means Texas Parks and Wildlife and their grant process would cover $750,000 of the $1.5 million. Obviously, the project is more expensive than that, but we're going for the maximum.
Okay.
Got it. And then this is likely, as you mentioned, to be perhaps a multi-year project to complete this. How does the state pay back reimbursements? Is it monthly, quarterly, yearly, or is it only at the end?
From what I understand, it's a reimbursement at the end of the project. Yep, we apply for.
Thank you.
Basically, the money is there, it's earmarked for it. Once the money is spent, we show that and show that it was spent towards that project. Those pieces, $750,000, account for it, send it to the state, and they reimburse us the funds.
And then his last question, is there any limit on what that can go towards as
Yes.
part of the project?
Yes, there is limits.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what the application process addresses, and why we have a grant writer, so that we can make sure that we're hitting all of those boxes of the things that the $750,000 will cover.
Okay.
And we're told, I've already had a couple of meetings with the grant writer in Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, that those cabins are how did they put it? They would be approved for funding.
Okay.
Sorry, one more question, if I don't mind. Who is the grant writer, or who did we?
Sally Gavalik,
Okay.
and she's a former Parks and Recreation Director, and this is what she does full-time now.
Okay, thank you.
And can I have a follow-up question, please, regarding the limits of the grant? I'm assuming that they are structural in nature and not what some people would call frivolous, primarily structural or infrastructure type issues that the state will cover?
When you say structure, are you talking about physical building space?
Physical building
Yes.
space, infrastructure, things.
That supports the grant's intent, which is recreational activities, and that's what these cabins will do.
And you had said that this had been discussed before, but the breakdown of the additional expenses above and beyond what the grant would cover to complete the project, those are detailed as well in the budget.
Yes, they are. And I can pull that out and send it to both you and Sean if you would like.
That would be
it.
helpful, thank you.
Yeah, those sheets within this current budget document.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, it does, thank you.
Yep, for sure.
Absolutely, thanks.
Anything else from anybody?
Yep, good, thank you.
I have a quick question, sorry.
Go ahead.
With regards to the animal services, there's animal services and the lease. There's no animal services for the proposed budget. Are we planning to incur those, or are they out completely? Because it's
Well, say the question again.
so with regards to animal services on the lease for the animal shelter, we have not applicable for the proposed budget, but we had 14.7 annually for the current budget.
Council? Long story. I'll try and get to it. This has been a 2-year process to get to this point with many different options that were explored. So the bottom line, so you understand where the animal shelter is they wanted to get out of that business. So last year when we did budgeting, we put some numbers aside to plan for those services. Just haven't had to use any of them or hire those folks until this contract hopefully gets the authorization to let city manager execute it. If so, we'd have 3 more months left on this year's contract. Yes, sir.
Chief, could you step back a little bit further so that Sean can see the history that we've been using? Animal
That's
Medical
contained
Center.
in the background for the last 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 20-year relationship with
Yeah.
them. I mean, the city fronted some money to help them build that initial facility. We've had an amazing relationship with them for almost 20 years.
Okay.
And
More perspective.
Yeah.
we're almost right there again. The animal services, from what I have had conversations with Dr. McCullough, who will be here tonight at 7 also, is such that strain on them, because our animals are, we sometimes have some, sometimes we don't have any. We have 3 or 4, 8, 0. For them to budget and properly provide the services for us has been a strain on their side. So it was it was a non-negotiable item, to be honest, at that point, to say, nope, they wanted out of it. So we have options. We have not pulled the trigger on any of those right now, pending, the finality of the contract execution, and then it moves us in another direction. So we have backup plan in place, ready with Wes, and officers actually taking on some duties, volunteer. We have a myriad of things planned. Bottom line, though, if you're asking dollar figures, we tentatively project about $10,000 to be put aside for animal services for a full budget year.
Thanks. Anybody? All right, if there's nothing else, then we have to go into closed session. We'll meet in closed session to discuss the following item, number 3A, section 551.071, consultation with the attorney concerning an agenda item requiring confidential client advice. Do I have to read the whole paragraph?
Yes.
Really, you should do 3B.
3B, okay.
Got it for-
Okay. So 3B is section 551.074, deliberate the employment and evaluation of a Highland Village Municipal Court judge. And we will adjourn into closed session at 6:15. Gentlemen. Okay, we adjourned our closed session at 6:47 and back into work session, and we're going to end work session at 6:51. See everybody at 7 o'clock.
You get you a louder gavel.
I got to hit it harder.
Get the squeaker on.
Heck, I'd be taking it. You guys would be chasing me out of the place with it.
So here we go. Ready? Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Highland Village City Council. Today is Tuesday, May 24th, and the meeting is called to order at 7 p.m. with all council members present. We're going to start off with Councilman Kicksmiller is going to lead us in a prayer and pledges.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we gather this evening to receive the oaths of office for 2 returning council members, 2 new council members, and a new mayor, please be with each of them. Help guide their decisions as they represent the members of our city who elected them. Please accept our thanks for all the blessings that have been bestowed on our city, our state, and our country. While we face enormous pressures and challenges at home and abroad, we should never forget the strength of our convictions that have made us who we are. As we honored those members of our city who have served us, let us also honor those who continue to serve. Be with them and keep them safe as they serve both here and around the world. And finally, please be with those families who were killed and injured in Uvalde today. The face of evil too often shows itself, and too often against those who are most vulnerable. Please be with them, and our prayers are with them. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, John.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, moving on. We're going to do ceremonial oaths of office. Just to let everybody know, official oaths of office have already taken place. Those were done by our city secretary, Mrs. Miller. And tonight we'll do a ceremonial oath of office for me, the new mayor, and for Councilman Sean Nelson. Do we need to do those in any specific order? Do you want to flip for it, Sean?
Oh, you can go.
All right, so I'll do mine first, then we'll do Sean's after that. I have a script for you. I'll do it right here. No, you have to stand right there.
I state your name.
I, Daniel Jaworski,
Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of City Council, Place 1, Mayor for the City of Highland Village
of City Council, Place 1 Mayor of the City of Highland Village
of the State of Texas,
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state.
of the United States and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God. Next.
No, you said the two. I believe so. I don't have anybody here. I don't let him work. I've lost so many times. So.
Yep, this way. Yep. Ready?
I state your name.
I, Sean Nelson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of Highland Village City Council, Place 4
of the office of Highland Village City Council, Place 4
of the State of Texas,
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of the state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Councilman Nelson, do y'all want to get a family picture? And Mayor, if y'all want to get a family picture before we continue?
I want to do the ceremony.
Yeah, go ahead.
Read you. Say, hey, when you wish me a great friend by everybody who's good at this, say hi. Say hi.
I'd be afraid of the nose.
You should be over there so you don't look taller than me.
Yeah, it looks. There we go. No, just
you were smiling.
I was.
I've got 2 years worth, right? Awesome. How about I go in the middle?
Okay, for item number 8, the selection of a mayor pro tem and deputy mayor pro tem, we discussed this during earlier work session. I'll just ask if anybody would like to make a motion. Mr. Feaster.
Yes, unless you want to do it, Tom. I can do it. Okay.
You can do it in a second.
I'd like to make the motion that we appoint council member Michael Lombardo as the mayor pro tem and John Kicksmiller as the deputy mayor pro tem.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. We'll take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All passes 7-0. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 9, visitor comments. Anyone wishing to address City Council must complete a speaker's request form and return it to the City Secretary. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the City Council is restricted in discussing or taking action on items not posted on the agenda. Action on your statement can only be taken at a future meeting. In order to expedite the flow of business and to provide all visitors the opportunity to speak, the mayor may impose a 3-minute limitation on any person addressing the City Council. A 30-minute time allotment is set for this section of the agenda, and any remaining speakers will be heard at the end of the action agenda. I only have, I think, one person that signed up to speak. Mrs. Miller, has anyone else signed up? No. Our first speaker, our only speaker is Mrs. Janet Schnatzmeyer. Please come up to the podium and state your name and address.
I'm very good at pronouncing my last name.
Thank you. I was nervous about it. I almost just called you Miss Janet.
I've gotten that a lot in my life, too. As you said, my name's Janet Schnatzmeyer. I'm the homeowner of 121 Scenic, and I've been a homeowner for 24 years there at that address. Some of you are already aware of drainage issues that myself and my neighbors have had. We had a letter read at the last council meeting last month. So I originally was coming here to speak to you to ask for you to take some action on those drainage issues. Since then, in the last week, Kevin has reached out to my attorney, and so it's my understanding now that the city is working with the engineers and is looking at alternatives to address the drainage issues we're experiencing. So first and foremost, I want to thank the city for reaching out, okay? So my purpose here has changed a little bit. What I want to now do is make sure that the new council members are aware of this issue. So I'd like to summarize that a bit, but my big ask tonight is that you see the urgency in acting on this drainage issue. With each and every rain, as we're experiencing right now, there is threat of more erosion and more damage to myself and my property, and then my neighbors downstream, the 3 property owners downstream. Today, even the light rain, I saw considerable wash across the yard, much more than I had experienced in the past. So, a summary of the issue: city contractors installed a 24-inch drainage pipe without proper authorization. It's placed in an easement that is defined as a sanitary sewer easement. This is in my fenced yard. Off-site improvements have been completed up the street that appear to divert excessive water flow directly into my property at an increased rate and volume not experienced before. As a reminder, I've been there for 24 years. Rain events since that pipe was placed resulted in significant erosion issues from my property and the adjoining neighbors as well. This is well documented. The unprotected 24-inch culvert in my fenced yard poses apparent safety issues for pets and children who might be in that yard, as well as maintenance issues for myself. I have been there for 24 years. My drive slopes from the street, but I have had no history of flooding issues. And I want to make that clear too. The 4 impacted homeowners, myself and my 3 neighbors, have attempted to work with the city to address our joint concerns on multiple occasions. The current status of that pipe is that it's on my property, it remains unfinished. There hasn't been an adequate solution posed by the city. Piles of dirt pose threat of washout with every rain. No engineering study has been received or any alternative solution discussed to date. I ask the council to see the urgency of resolving this issue to prevent further damage to the 4 impacted properties, and also to show that Highland Village respects the rights of their homeowners.
Thank you. All right, moving on. We'll have mayor and council reports. These are items of community interest, and pursuant to the Texas Government Code, City Council may report on the following items: expressions of thanks, congratulations, or condolences, information about holiday schedules, recognition of individuals, reminders about upcoming City Council events and city events, and information about community events or announcements involving imminent threat to public health and safety. Does anybody have anything they want to report on? All right, I'll take a moment then, and I just want to say, now that we're all officially and ceremonially sworn in, I want to thank Mayor Wilcox for her many, many years of dedicated service to our city. Also want to give thanks to Barbara Fleming for her years of service to our city, as well as making me a better candidate and run harder. And I also like to thank Kevin Cox and Ray David. I know they made Sean a better candidate and council member as well. And then I want to congratulate Marcus Baseball and Softball. They're moving on to regional finals. They start their series later this week. And then finally, all graduating seniors at Marcus High School. I think they're having graduation on Sunday and Monday. So I just want to say congratulations, seniors, and good luck in your next endeavor. Last call, anybody? Nope. All right, we'll move on to city manager and staff reports. And I think we'll do the village report first. Is that correct?
Join us at the beautiful Doubletree Ranch Park as we bring together the community to support families of fallen officers. We are looking for members of the community to help us put on this all-day event. The TX Fallen PD Tribute event has a ton of activities, from the 5K run and civilian and police department honor rides, to the obstacle course and the kid ride with a cop. We would not be able to bring this event to our community if it weren't for partners like you. New this year, we will finish off the day with a concert in the park at Doubletree Ranch Park. A kids zone, vendor booths, food trucks, and drink providers will be on site for this fun family event. There are many levels of sponsorships. To find the right one for you, visit txfallenpd.com and select Become a Sponsor. And we'll see you at Doubletree Ranch Park on October 15th. Summer kicks off in Highland Village on June 11th as we celebrate Highland Village. Start the morning with a family fish out and 5K fun run at Doubletree Ranch Park. Finish the day off with live music from Hard Day's Night, delicious food trucks, and of course, a fireworks extravaganza over Lake Louisville. Visit hvparks.com to see the schedule of events and parking options. We look forward to seeing you at Celebrate Highland Village.
Member has the option of removing an item from this agenda so that it may be considered separately and/or adding any item from the action agenda to be considered as part of the consent agenda. I think we've only got one thing in the consent agenda, and that's considering minutes. So, would anybody like to make a motion?
Mr. Lombardo.
Mr. Lombardo?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, item 12.
Mr. Fiorenza?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And action agenda. Council did meet in closed session, but no action will be taken. And then moving on to item 14, consider resolution 2022-3000 authorizing the execution of a lease with Point Compass Limited Liability Company relating to the lease of a portion of the building at 2810 FM 407 for City Animal Shelter. Chief Rhyme.
Mayor, Council again. There's a guest with us tonight, Dr. Paul McCullough, who is part of this whole process. He's, which I didn't have a chance to explain a little bit more of the background so you understand. After our 20-year relationship with them, moving to this next level, Dr. McCullough, they sold their practice out, but he maintained the building. So to move to this level and maintain the costs, as you can see, for the city were millions of dollars of saved probably in the future for at least $1 million for building the facilities and things like that. But the services that they provided for our residents have been stellar. I've been here 8 years now, and I can't tell you, I can tell you, I guess that's probably a better way to say, not a single complaint from one of our residents about any of the services that have been provided by the medical side of that shelter. So it's a pretty amazing deal. And I do want to give the opportunity to Dr. McCullough to say anything if he'd like to, or if you have any questions of either one of us.
Mr. Heslop, or is that were you hitting his switch?
No, he was first, but
Go ahead.
okay. So and I apologize, I wasn't in early session to ask this question, but on the lease, it provides for a rate bump, rate bump in the lease, no more than 2% per annum, okay? And then it also provides 11.49% pro rata share of expenses. Is that also included in the annual rate adjustment?
That would be adjusted per every annual review of the fees, and the bills will be provided for what the actual costs were. So that's not part of the 2%.
I understand, but it can be reviewed annually, so it could go up.
Right, depending on the actual costs.
And it's just based on actual costs, so is there any cap on that?
No.
Okay. All right, and then if for some reason, I understand we are the tenant, is that correct? City of Highland Village?
I believe so.
Okay. So if we want to assign the lease or sublet, whatever, we have to get your permission, correct?
Yes.
But we do not remain liable on the lease if you approve. Okay, all right, I just wanted to clarify that. That's a good thing.
Mr. Feaster?
I was just going to make a motion when we're.
Anybody else? All right, Mr. Feaster, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
I don't know if the doctor wanted to say anything at all other than being questioned.
No, nothing really. We've enjoyed a good relationship.
No, it's been great.
And the last year, trying to get the lease done and finalized in the middle of us selling the practice. I mean, we haven't sold the building, we sold the practice, and I still practice. It's just a matter of, the practice itself. So, but we've had a good relationship. I've actually handled animal control since 1991 when I first came here. So it's been a good thing, and hopefully it will be for the future.
And we thank you for your working with us and the patience in the last year working this out too.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So as a new puppy owner, I'll say I hope to keep my animal out of the city animal shelter, but I'm glad it's there. But in light of that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution 2022-3000, authorizing the execution of the lease with Point Compass Limited Liability Company.
All right, motion by Mr. Feaster and
Second.
Mr. Kicksmiller seconds. All right, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 15, consider Resolution 2022-3001, authorizing application to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department Local Park Grant Program for the Pilot Knoll Park Redevelopment Project Phase 1. Mr. Lozano.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. A little background, on September 28, 2021, the City Council approved the issuance of certificates of obligation for construction improvement projects related to streets and parks. Streets was approximately $8.85 million, parks was $6.413 million, and a combined total of $15.263 million. Of the $6.413 million allocated for parks, $2.3 million is allocated for 16 cabins at Pilot Knoll Park. The city is seeking grants from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department to help with the funding of the cabin project. The Texas Parks and Wildlife Department Local Park Grant Program assists local government agencies in development of public recreation areas and facilities throughout the state. The program provides a 50% matching grants on a reimbursement basis to eligible applicants that are matching the maximum amount of $750K that we would receive. Staff sought the assistance of professional grant writer to help with the writing of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department local grant for the 16 cabins at Pilot Knoll, as discussed earlier in the work session. So the identified needs are to apply and submit a copy of the executed resolution and other required documents for the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department local grant by July 29th, 2021. The grant date deadline is August 1st this year, and I'm going to speak about that after I'm done with the agenda briefing. So obviously the resolution will satisfy the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department requirement as one of the required documents for the grant submission, and then the progress to date is the resolution which you have in hand and has been drafted, and we would like you to consider it for passing. This is one of the documents that is needed. We approximately have 85% of the documents already made, so we're recommending, or the recommendation is to approve Resolution 2022-3001. Now, I'm going to go on and speak a little bit further. I'm going to give you an update on where we are. We were recently notified by Texas Parks and Wildlife Department that they had moved up the submission date from October 1st, which is what it typically is, to August 1st. All right, with that, this is a bit of a challenge because of the Parks and Recreation and Trails master plans were not scheduled to be complete by McAdams and adopted until the end of September. And the master plan piece of that is worth 25 points on that scale of 100 points. So it's important. Texas Parks and Wildlife Department is being flexible and is allowing a final draft of the master plan to be submitted on August 1st with adoptions as minor revisions later on that fall. So that's good. So I'm working with the McAdams Group to meet the August 1st deadline. If we cannot meet this year's deadline, we will apply again next year. I'm being told that the funds will be there. This does not affect the resolution that is before you, as it does not specify the application submission date on it, but rather speaks to council's authorizing the application to Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. And I'll take any questions at this time.
Mr. Feaster.
Yeah, Mr. Lozano, so it's my understanding that the state budgets a certain amount of money every year for this program. And of all the submissions, they rank those on a point basis, and then they fund from the top and go down. So it's entirely possible that wherever our application would fall, it's possible to be partially funded. Is that correct? Is that a possibility?
You know, I haven't asked that question because we're asking for the 50-50 match at 1.5. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna have to clarify that.
Okay. And my other question to that is, if we aren't funded in the full 1.5 million level, is if we can reapply in a future date and try and recapture the rest of that difference?
That's correct. We can reapply. If we apply this year or don't have the documents in time, we can reapply next year.
Okay. But even if it's partially funded this year or whenever they award for a number less than the 750, if we can reapply again in a future year and try and make up that difference?
For a phase 2, but not for the same project.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I did have another question.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
If you don't mind, Mr. Lozano. Following up with Mr. Feaster's question, if they match us at, let's say, 300,000, is the program to develop the cabins designed where we can do this in phases, or is it all at one time? We have to go in and do it.
No, we haven't. Yes, to answer your question, we can set it up into phases and determine, based off of the money, how much we can be built, how much can be built in the first phase. Now, the resolutions, I think, I need to.
Did it include 16 cabins?
The resolution does not specify 16 cabins.
Okay.
Yep.
But wasn't that what we originally discussed, was 16?
Yes, and that's what it's budgeted towards.
Okay.
So phase 1 could be, if we got 300,000 and there was, a shortfall of funds, we could obviously reduce that scope.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Heslop.
Are you going to make the motion, or are you just going to? What motion are you going to make?
I'm sorry. I apologize, Mr. Feaster.
It's that tie you're missing, and you forgot what you're doing here.
Well, no, it's been kind of a challenging day, and it was raining outside, and my hair's kind of all over the place. Okay, I make a motion that we consider Resolution 2022-3001, authorizing the application to Texas Parks and Wildlife Department Local Park Grant Program for the Pilot Knoll Park Redevelopment Project Phase 1.
Very well done. Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Sure. Mr.
I
Lombardo?
second that.
All right.
You want me to read it again?
No. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right, now we'll move into late work session. Status reports on current projects and any future agenda items. Does anyone have any reports or items they want to report or request? Mr. Stevens, anything you want to report?
No, thank you.
Okay,
I do.
go ahead.
I do.
I hope Mr. Lombardo supports me on this one. We've not had a chance to, of course, discuss. But I want to clarify with our contract with DCTA, what do we pay annually to them?
Of course, it's a portion of the sales tax is dedicated to them.
Just a rough number? Can you speak louder? I'm sorry. 1.4 million. So I would like for us to consider bringing on a future agenda item for a detailed review of this contract to see what our real benefits are from DCTA and see what our options are for a possible exit if we are all agreeable. Because I see that we're paying $1.4 million to DCTA, and I felt this way, and I know other council members have. Mr. Lombardo, I hope you support me on this.
Absolutely.
That we're not getting the proper bang for the buck, so to speak. And so I'd like a real detailed discussion and analysis of said contract and see what our options are.
I think Paul and I spoke a couple weeks ago about doing a review of the contract for everybody's benefit as well.
Awesome.
Certainly do that.
And it might be prudent to, I don't know if we want to do it in 2 sessions or 1, but get a report from them as well.
Okay, very good.
And that's $1.4 million that we're paying annually. And I'm sorry, is speaking for the citizens of the city and myself and several of us on council, I don't see the benefit that we're getting out of that. So there you go.
Duly noted.
Well, you need to add to that the review of the contract then.
Oh, yes, the review of the contract, yes.
There is no contract.
What can we do and can't do?
There is no
The
contract.
contract.
There is no written agreement?
All the more reason. Okay.
We'll have to, it may take a couple of meetings to pull it together, but we can certainly pull something together.
Okay.
Of course, with it being an election, it's controlled by the Transportation Code, but yeah, we can pull some information together to lay that out for you.
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. Kicksmiller?
First thing I'd like to request from Chief Rhyme, if we could pass through the chief, is we've had the golf cart ordinance, excuse me, sinuses are bad tonight, ordinance in place for 4 years now. And I'd like to see from a statistical standpoint, how many carts do we have? You know, what's the impact been on the city? How many tickets, accidents? Just the overall lay of the land now that we've had golf carts running through the city for 4 years. And then at the next meeting, I informed the mayor that I'll be bringing forth suggestions for review of the ordinance itself, but I don't expect to do that next meeting, but would like to see the stats.
Okay, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Last call.
Okay, and what's the status, Phil, on the splash pad with the stopgap repairs?
We're making every effort that we can to get it open. We did a couple of tests on a couple of products to patch the splash pad. We've been working really hard to get the equipment and everything working. And we tested it today, and the pump and the water, everything is working on that end. We're just waiting for the delivery of the material, and it's supposed to arrive here on Friday. And as soon as weather allows, we're going to get on it and make all of those repairs and test it. So as far as giving you a date when it can be open, it's kind of hard to do because we're dealing with the environmental factors that are out of our control right now. And splash pad surfacing, concrete has to be 100% dry, and it's got to have 48-hour cure time with no rain in order for it to harden. So it's about a 3 to 4 day process.
That's better than none at all. No splash pad at all. So thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
If nobody else has anything, I'll just conclude by, I want to say thank you to Angie Miller and Lori Mullins and everybody else on the staff that has helped me over the last couple of weeks get ready for tonight. Your hard work, I think, paid off. I think things ran pretty smoothly. And everybody on council for being patient with the rookie mayor. And with that, we are adjourned at 7:33.
Almost a record.